The yeast is really the one that's doing all the hard work for the beer that we enjoy so well.
Brewers make what is essentially a yeast growth medium, and we drink the waste product.
You'd be surprised how many brewers really don't know that much about malt. I mean, it's really looked as a commodity and not an ingredient.
So you had regions of the world that are renowned for particular styles of beer because of the water supply.
Lebanon, Indiana. That is in the Indianapolis area-ish?
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes north of Indianapolis.
Okay. So, I have to imagine Indianapolis has a pretty vibrant craft beer scene.
Yeah, it does. Honestly, we're kind of spread out, though. We've got a few breweries and distillers that we work with in Indianapolis. We have a lot in Chicago, quite a bit in Ohio, all over the state of Illinois. We're really kind of spread out quite a bit as far as our distribution.
What's sort of the genesis of the malting that you're doing there and why you decided to do this is local beer is great. You guys were wondering about, okay, this beer is local in that it was made in a zip code adjacent to us or, down the street. But how local is it if all the ingredients aren't from as close to here as possible? Was that kind of your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, that was the beginning for sure. So I grew up on a farm. My dad farms about 1,500 acres, and he raised hogs until about a year ago. He stopped raising hogs. But so I grew up on the farm, didn't really want to do what my dad was doing. So I actually had no plan on ever coming back to doing, agricultural kind of work. Spent a couple years away from the farm and then realized I kind of missed that lifestyle. I got into home brewing during that time. I was a really big home brewer, and came back and talked to my dad about, maybe starting up a brewery. But, I'd only been home brewing for a couple of years. So I really didn't have that much experience doing that. And then we kind of started talking about, what goes into beer? We're a farm. Why can't we produce that? So we started doing some research on that and looked into hops and didn't really think that was really kind of our fit, kind of our niche. But malt really just nailed it for me. Malts, it's the agricultural side, but there's also a lot of science and a lot of art that goes into making barley into malt. It's not like we're just farming a grain and then giving it to a brewer or distiller. We're turning that grain into hundreds and thousands of different flavors with what we do. So, there's a real art and a romance behind it that really kind of drew me to that, and a real creativity too that drew that to me.
I'm embarrassed to admit this to you, Caleb, but I'm someone who enjoys a beer that's more malt forward than hops forward, more often than not. And I know plenty about hops, but I feel like I don't really understand anything about barley. Can you kind of give me a walkthrough of like the beginning and the end and the cultivation? When do you put it in the ground? How does all of that work?
Yeah, don't feel embarrassed about that because you're not the only one. I mean, that's kind of craft beer in the last 10, 15 years is just, pushed hops, pushed IPA that nobody, you'd be surprised how many brewers really don't know that much about malt. I mean, it's really looked as a commodity and not an ingredient almost sometimes.
Right. Caleb, you're not getting the respect that you deserve is what I'm saying.
Yeah, don't make it some respect, I guess. So, so I'll walk you through the whole process. I guess it's a long process, but so we plant barley in the fall. Here in Indiana, we plant it in the fall. It overwinters, and then we harvest it usually around middle of second week of June. Usually, after it's harvested, then it goes into holding bins until it's ready to be malted. Malting is basically a very simple process, and as far as breaking it down. You get it wet, you grow it for a few days, and then you dry it out. Yeast cannot digest barley straight out of the field. It has to be malted and it has to be broken down through the germination process that we do. After it's germinated, then we cook it at different temperatures and different lengths of time so that we can create all the different colors and flavors that of in beer. So that's a pretty simple explanation of the process.
So different malts come from, it's all the same barley, and the different malts are the things you do to it once it's harvested, or are there different barleys? Barley's barley?
There are different varieties of barley, yes, but you can take one variety of barley from one field. I can take one variety of barley from one field and make hundreds of different malts with it.
So barley's like vanilla ice cream, and you can add whatever you want to it. when then that's your process. That's where the romance and the creativity comes in on your end.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have base malts, which are, like Pilsners, which would make a light lager, Viennas and Munichs, which would go into the orangish and like a Oktoberfest kind of Marzen style beer. And then we also have a roaster that we make crystal malts. The crystal malts have a really nice like caramel toffee kind of flavor to them. We also make chocolate and really dark malts that have like a coffee, like a roasted coffee kind of flavor. We also have a smoker that we smoke malts with, and an old historic malt house that we're making malt the way that malt would have been made before the 1750s. So we're making really historic style malts in that.
And the need for historic malts is because people are interested in what beer used to taste like, or?
Yeah, hopefully. I just started this year. I started a year ago. It's kind of a pet project of mine. I'm really interested in the history behind brewing and malting and things like that.
How much input do you get from brewers? Do they say to you, I would like a malt that does this? And then in terms of what you're able to create with the creative side, do you get input from brewers and create something to what they want, or does it all just come from off the top of your head?
Yeah, it depends on the brewery for sure. Some guys, really like to be a part of the process. Some guys just want their grain delivered and get it to me at this time. So brewers and distillers both will say, hey, we're looking for, like, distillers will say they're looking for heirloom varieties of corn. So this year we grew Bloody Butcher corn, which is a really old, really dark red colored corn, which is really cool. That was used a lot in distilling over 100 years ago about. So we brought that corn back, and that is that we malted. That's what we're malting right now, and making really cool malts with that. So
Sugar Creek Malt Company, it's a beautiful facility. You've got to be really proud of the work that you guys are doing there. And I guess it makes sense that people were, the team here at Brewed was raving about the tour that they were able to get. And I guess it makes sense that it would be such a cool place because you're this passionate about it and you feel so strongly about it. So thanks for not giving up, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Am I way off when I say water is the most essential ingredient?
No, absolutely. You don't get yeast without water. You don't get hops without water. You don't get barley without water.